Oh, hello there. Yes, well, turned out nice again, didn't it? Yes, sort of. Anyway, yes, I hope you weren't too, well, inconvenienced at the weekend. What with the national strike going on? Yes, that massive uprising. Yeah, God. It was so bad that I could, well, barely stifle a yawn. Yes. If there's one thing, if you have some very vague idea about some vague demonstration that you don't really have that much commitment to, you can always find plenty of space on GB News. They'll give you a platform. They've been platforming white genocide in South Africa in the last few days, naturally. Anyway, we were told, certainly on GB News, that there was going to be anything up to 500,000 people out on the streets, bringing Britain to a halt, with all those people going on a national strike on a day when, they're not at work anyway, which shows that, these people don't really have a great understanding of politics or indeed history or, well, anything, which we'll come back to. But yeah, anyway, there were certainly up to 500,000 people out on the streets. I think the one in London managed to get to about 200. There were various counter demonstrations by the evil and violent Antifa, who showed once again how evil and violent they were by being very, very peaceful, because that's reality once again, isn't it? Yes. Anyway, that lot were out there, and I love these people. The video down below, but Paul Golding from Britain First is still banging on about the enormously large number of people that he ruggedly took to the centre of Birmingham, braving all those brown people in Birmingham. Oh, terrifying! Yes. Anyway, they had drone footage. Oh, great drone footage. Yeah, which do watch the video. It's got very interesting cuts in it. Just as you might actually get to see that there's only 120 people there, it cuts away to the tiny number of demonstrators. Oh, yes, that again, violent Antifa types being all peaceful and nice, really. Anyway, which brings us on perhaps to the meat of the matter of the weekend, or what's left of it. Well, for me, I don't care. It's bank holiday. Hooray, I'm not at work. Yeah, boo sucks. I'm on strike, mate. Me. Anyway, Reform were, partaking of the usual Sunday shows, as there were. They have been parading their wares a great deal, amounting to absolutely nothing, because one of these sort of things about right-wing groups like, Paul Golding and the rest of them, if you like, is that they can't actually mobilise in any wider sense of the word, be it people or actual activity. So we do have this kind of nothingness that is the Reform Party at the moment, having taken over all these councils. They're proving not to really do anything. I mean, a great many of their councillors can't actually stand because nobody pointed out to them somehow, or they couldn't read the paperwork and realise they would barred from standing because they're local government officers. Then there are the ones who have decided just not to stand anyway because they don't really fancy it anymore. It looks like hard work. And then there are those that, of course, have slightly problematic kind of, yes, I'm with Enoch style posts on their media, which Richard Tice has been desperately trying to explain away. Meanwhile, of course, in the upper echelons of the party, where all the brilliant brains are, we have the new MP who's been out doing the rounds, Sarah Pochin, and just absolutely showing that these people are absolutely the types of people that couldn't quite make it in the Conservative Party and have just jumped ship. So instead of getting incompetent Tories, you get incompetent Reform people. Anyway, she was very proudly saying that she's got pride flags down, and that's about it, really. Yeah, anyway, pride flags are down, which is really good, isn't it? Yeah, common sense, get the pride flags down. Yeah, because if you don't actually have any policies, then pride flags will come down. Dame Andrea Jenkins was, she was showing how brilliantly she knows her remit of the job, because she was complaining about 9-year-olds having sex education in school, being encouraged to do it. No, it's a statutory requirement, Andrea. Perhaps if you was on top of your brief, you'd know that, but, I guess, you don't actually need to be on top of your brief if you're a member of a Reform Party, or indeed just want a gong for services to something. Yes. So anyway, yes, because of course, 9-year-olds will menstruate, so obviously it's a good idea not to teach them sex education, because then they might hear the word non-binary and then all bad things will come. So let's fight everything on that kind of basis. We won't have pride flags and we'll have a whole bunch of pregnant 11-year-olds. Great stuff. Never mind that, still. And in perhaps even further, we've got other people doing various things, but it turns out not a lot. In Norfolk, they've decided not to have their flood committee, the one place in the UK that's already ostensibly below sea level, so that makes perfect sense. I don't know, these people have no strategic vision at all. They are simply single-issue people that whenever push comes to shove will simply fall down at the first hurdle because they don't know what they're doing. They have no understanding of the way things work. Now, I'm old enough and mean enough, and I've been in and around local government and education and various other things to actually understand the way things work. But I really don't think these people do at all. So they will just continue to fight their individual little culture wars, which is fine. You can do. But people will wake up eventually to the fact that nothing is happening. And you can't go and make promises on things if you do nothing. That isn't a promise, I'm afraid. It's simply, nasty libertarian, we hate government. And we've had that for at least the last 15 years. You may notice that nothing works because we've had governments in power that don't believe that anything can work. Add those two together. Anyway, on a similar level, in terms of single issue people and not knowing how things work, we have this from James Esses, and I just want to flag this up because I think it's very indicative of these types of people. You could not make it up, says James. Well, yes, James, you could, let's face it. Teachers in the UK are being told, told, not taught, but told, that being anti-trans, in inverted commas, which we know means believing in biological reality. Yeah, we know that, don't we? We know that, James. We do, the sensible people, should be classified as terrorism. Oh no, that sounds really bad. Let's find out what's going on, shall we? This was leaked to me from a teacher training taking place at a secondary school in Hertfordshire. Hertfordshire? Hurts? Oh no! Teacher training, people finding out about things they didn't know about beforehand, because lots and lots of teachers, trust me, I'm one, don't necessarily have a great understanding of things like politics. I know, they're all woke leftists who are Marxists that want kids to, be mutilated and trans and have sex and things. But at the same time, they don't seem to know a lot about the world. Strange that. Anyway, let's have a look at this, because I just want to vaguely unpack exactly what it is that James has got upset about here, because it isn't the thing that he's claiming to be upset about. So we've got this thing which is a photograph of a slide. Ooh, PowerPoint, cool. Left-wing and anarchist and single-issue terrorism. Okay, yeah. All right, these types of terrorism are less common, but in general, left-wing involves two broad ideologies, communism and socialism. Okay, anarchism seeks the abolition of the state. Okay, isn't that a third one? I don't know. Anyway, single issues tend to be revolved around whole economic, political or social system. For example, animal rights, anti-abortion or anti-fascism, which doesn't really tie in with the left-wing stuff particularly. And those left-wing groups don't tend to be single-issue things. So, I'm sorry, but as a sociology and a kind of history teacher in the main, I'm just going to be picky about that. But this is where we come on to what James is unhappy about. Common themes. Established terrorist narratives have common themes such as anti-Semitism. Yeah, that's your Nazis, isn't it? Fascists that don't like Jews, they're Nazis. Yes, that is the technical thing. Misogyny. Yeah, most right-wing groups, and the groups that, for example, James likes to hang around with and to get platforms with, are misogynistic. They just essentially don't like women one way or another. I know they throw that one around a lot, but they themselves definitely are. Anti-establishment. No, not really, particularly. Not the sorts of people that James hangs around with, because, of course, all of the funding for the stuff that James does, being sent things on the internet to pretend to get cross about, are funded by very, very nicely full amounts of money, American money groups in the UK. Anti-LGBTQ, we might be getting there, plus grievances such as transphobic or anti-trans viewpoints. Yes, indeed. You see, and this is where James is unhappy, because he says that that shouldn't be included in and around things that might be a single issue terrorism thing, even though lots and lots of kind of vague attacks on people might be counted as that. To what extent do we count single assaults on people as acts of terrorism? Hard to say, really. But of course, James doesn't like that, because that means that he's included in this group as well. Religious or ethnic superiority. Yeah, I won't say a word about James being a migrant and, what those other kind of things that he supports here due to his cultural background. That's his choice. But the thing about this, of course, isn't that James is realistically upset about this, or indeed that teachers are going to think that people that are anti-trans are necessarily terrorists. That doesn't really work. The problem, of course, is that he doesn't want to be labelled as a bigot, even though he is one, even though the rest of them are. You see, that's the issue. They come across simply as bigots. Yeah, don't really like gay people, so therefore we won't have sex education in school. Don't really like gay people, so we won't have flags. Okay, that's fine. But these people are voters as well. And the rest of the people that know these people will notice these things too. And after you've taken down the flags and you've removed the slide about terrorism, what are you left with? Nothing. Nothing. No policy, no action, nothing. And this is a little tsunami that at the moment is just a few centimetres tall. But give it a year or so and it will be, by God, an enormous wave, because people will wake up to the fact that potholes are not going to be filled in by people spouting off about net zero policies which they have no control over. Anyway, do have a lovely day if you can. Woo, bank holiday. I'm feeling fairly chilled. Yeah, enjoy.